Oklahoma Congressman James Lankford, a member of the Republican leadership, represents the district just 6 miles north of where the storm did its worst damage. He toured store damage on Monday before returning to D.C. He joins me now. He's still in Washington. Congressman Lankford, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Do you have any new information you know from the ground, from officials you've talked to this morning? What can you share with us?
No, we're watching the same as everyone else on that side right now. I know the families that are affected at the school, they are huddled together and they're kind of waiting this out, and there are counselors and pastors that are there with them, and they have the opportunity just to be able to wait and watch, and so we're waiting and watching as well.
What kind of warning do you feel like folks had in Moore and folks had in your district, and also on Sunday? Do you feel like was there as much preparation as could be had when it comes to preparing for a tornado?
Chuck, there really was. The National Weather Service is located in Norman, Oklahoma, just about 10 miles south of there. We have fantastic weather service and weather warning, and so there was ample warning even several days in advance that this looks like this is a serious tornado situation. And then the day of, on Sunday, we were all very aware, watching it very carefully. Our news stations carried it very well. The National Weather Service did great warnings and updates on it. So people that were watching it attentive had that opportunity. But you got to understand, a typical tornado that comes through an EF 1, 2, or 3 may take off a roof, may take off a couple walls, blow out some glass, and so people hide in place. They have a shelter inside their home that may not be a physical concrete shelter, but that's a normal tornado. This was not a normal tornado that happened on Sunday through Shawnee, and not a normal tornado that happened by far coming through Moore as well. And so this is not a typical situation. Even though people had warning, they went to their normal shelter locations, but it wasn't enough. Now, there were folks that had underground shelters, and after the 1999 tornado in Moore, a lot of individuals had shelters. In fact, when I was in Shawnee, I was with one family. They have a shelter there, and there were 14 people inside their shelter underground. All their neighbors had run to their house and had all gone underground, and they were all fine. But for individuals that were not able to get underground or weren't able to get to a spot like that, that's where we had the loss of life.
And what you saw yesterday before you came back to D.C. Compared to what you've seen with other tornado damage, give me some comparison there.
Yeah, when that storm came through Shawnee, it was a very large tornado as well, what's called a long track wedge tornado, and it did a tremendous amount of damage, but it was in a very rural area. So the homes that it hit were obliterated, but it hit very few homes because it's in a very rural area. And we even said Monday morning, this could have been much worse if this would have been in a more urban populated area, suburban area. And then by the time I got here on Monday from the flight, that was already hitting the ground then there and more, and we had it all over again.
Are you getting all the help from the federal government that you're looking for right now?
We are, actually. President Obama's been on the phone with our governor, Mary Fallin. He's declared this a major disaster situation. That does a couple of things. That allows for individual assistance before people's insurance pays. This will give them a gap, basically a loan in advance of it. So when their insurance pays, they can pay that money back to FEMA, but it carries them through. It helps them with some initial costs, and then also have what's called public assistance. That public assistance helps for cities, states, counties to help carry them through the overtime, the extra bulldozers and equipment. There'll be a lot of infrastructure that has to be repaired. That will help us through that process. That's all being expedited right now through Region 6 of FEMA, and their FEMA director is even coming today as well in Oklahoma. So we're getting great response from FEMA. The bulk of what's happening is our state and local, and through cities. We've had businesses that have already donated money. There were lines over a mile long yesterday in volunteer and donation areas all around the city, and so there's a lot of ongoing help here.
Do you expect to have any problems getting finance assistance passed in Congress if you guys are going to need it?
Yeah, we don't even know what we need at this point. The last time this came through Moore, it was about $1 billion. We don't know what FEMA has in their budget right now. Obviously, we give them a large budget to be able to handle major disasters. We're early in the year, and so we don't know what's required at this point, and so we'll have to wait on all the timing and the dollars, and all that's for another day. Right now, we're just focused on people and the immediate response. The immediate response is going very well.
All right. Republican Congressman James Lankford from the 5th District, just north of where this tornado went through. Of course, you just had to tour the devastation in Shawnee. Thanks for coming on this morning and sharing. Meanwhile, I want to